Welcome to the Breeze Perspective. Today, I want to share a few tips with you all that I felt really were a game changer when I decided to give birth naturally. Right? When I found out I was pregnant, I wasn't sure about the birthing process. That wasn't even in the top of my mind. But as time went on, I realized I did want to be able to have a natural birth. I wanted to have a good process in it. I wanted to feel my baby coming through the canal. And so, in order to prep, there are three things I would recommend now that I've lived the experience. One is going to be you need to take a class. The value of a class is really helping you understand, you know, the physics of the body, right? The physical aspect of how your body naturally can work for you towards delivering a baby naturally. I also want to say a disclaimer, which is one, I know that no pregnancy is the same. So, if from talking to your doctor, it makes more sense for you to deliver your baby in a certain way, by all means, I am not a medical professional. Two, I don't feel like delivering a baby naturally puts one mom ahead of or above another mom that does it with an epidural. I don't want to send that message out at all. For one thing, I know many mothers may go into it intending to do a natural delivery, and then it lasts so long, pain gets so excruciating, or all these other factors take place in which you need the epidural to rest and deliver the baby more safely, and also make sure mom comes out of this delivery process safe and healthy as well. So I want to put that out there. The most important thing, no matter what delivery method you choose, is to have a healthy mom and a healthy baby. But for those of you who do earn or yearn to have a natural birth, here are my top three steps. Number one is to take a class. As I mentioned, taking a class is going to give you the knowledge you need to understand the human body, the female body, what your body is going to do in this process. It also, more importantly, is going to dispel myths. We've grown up for years watching television shows and movies that show you, oh, all of a sudden the woman's water breaks, and then after that, you rush her to the hospital, and then after that she's sitting up laid up on a bed with her legs wide open, knees faced outward, and pushing out a baby. I'm sorry to tell you, even the idea of laying on a bed, knees faced outward, up in the air, that's not optimal. That's not an optimal way to push. But we don't know that because that's not what the television shows. The more optimal way is for your knees to be faced inward, whether you're laying on the bed or if you're actually hovering over the back of the bed or standing up or whatever you choose to do. Either way, the knees faced outward, pointed outward, is closing the cervix, right? So little things like that you learn when you do take a class. Another thing I benefited from with taking a class, and is the community, right? Meeting other moms who are going through the process. Some of the moms I met, a few of us got into an Instagram direct message group, and we would just share things that we saw on Instagram that were helpful or that were funny. We would share what was going on with our bodies, sometimes seeing if anyone else was witnessing it. We all know the truth is misery loves company, and sometimes pregnancy can be miserable, right? Maybe not every day, right? I know some moms have a more difficult pregnancy than others, but at some point you get tired, right? You're exhausted, you're growing a human being. So being able to share like how you're feeling and just feel some camaraderie in that, and understanding you're not alone in this, and that you're going to reach the finish line, there's true value in that. Lastly, as it pertains to the class, you also get to learn from other moms and families that went through the class, what their process turned out to be. The class that I would recommend is a woman named Chanel Hogue. Her website is aworkingmom.com. Working being spelled WERKING, so aworkingmom.com. Chanel's fabulous. Even if you don't take the class, definitely find her on Instagram. I believe her Instagram handle is a working mom. She gives all sort of tips about positions, the best positions to be in, right, when giving birth, things to share with your partner so that your partner is prepared. I'll give you an example. When you get to the hospital, it's going to be a lot of questions from multiple people and a lot of redundant questions. One thing that you can offload is Go ahead and tell your partner what those questions are and what the answers are, most importantly. That way, when you get there, they're not asking those to you. You can redirect them to your partner, your mother, whomever your birthing team is. That is a game changer. You know, the whole idea from watching the movies and television all these years of rushing to the hospital, when you rush to the hospital, you're not necessarily in the right environment to continue to go through your labor process in the best way. You know, to continue to get to those, what do you call, those contractions that are 60 minutes apart and getting dilated at least 10 centimeters, right? That is what you want to work towards. And when you are able to stay at home before you get closer to that, it really helps. So that kind of brings me into my second recommendation. It's a doula. So I had a doula. Her name was Latoya. She lived in Greensboro and she was phenomenal. What I loved about this doula is one, her method was very much, we're having a baby. We are not here to, pamper you like you're in some yoga scene or like you're in some spa day. Not to say that you're not the center of attention, you're totally the center of attention, but it's not about just, oh, what feels good right now. It's really about what movement can you do with your body that's going to be optimal for you to continue this process and this transition into birthing this beautiful human being, right? I can guarantee you, most of the time, as you get into those last few hours, it's not laying on your back. I can guarantee you at different times it may involve you moving. I know in the beginning you should be laying on your back. You should get rest when you first go into the beginner labor stages. But there's so many components I can't even remember every sector of it. But having a doula, one, they're like your lawyer, right, in the birthing room. When you get into that room, and I'm speaking more to the hospital experience because that was my great experience. I didn't have any problems, but when you get into those hospital rooms and you have those nurses and doctors that are working from their own perspective, having your lawyer, your doula in that room that's able to reiterate what your wants are, what your interests are, and what you're not interested in. Do not keep saying the word pain. Do not keep asking my patient, my mother, how what her pain level is, because we don't even want to think about that word right now. We're thinking about a successful delivery. Pain is inevitable. Now, there are some people that believe in a pain free birth, for example, the class I took, and that's fine. But either be that as it may, we all know that there's going to be some discomfort, and that's to be expected. So there's certain things that you benefit from when you have a doula to really vouch for you and help kind of with the feng shui of the room entirely, right? And also, more importantly, the feng shui of your body, telling you what positions are optimal as the time goes on. Being able to call them when you're pregnant. I remember, let's see, I gave birth in March. So the Christmas before that, right, that top of the year, Christmas, I live in North Carolina and I went to visit my partner's family up in New York. And I think I had a little bit of bleeding or something. So I remember calling her or texting her in the middle of the night, letting her know my concern. My doula called me back, got on the phone in the middle of the night, and just kind of consoled me about what was going on to give me more solace to know this is normal, you're totally fine. If you're not seeing these signs, you're good. If you're seeing these signs, then we need to worry. If you see these signs, message me in an hour or so. And then she even checked in on me that next morning, right? So having a doula is a game changer, especially for those of you who don't have a mom that are going to be active in the process, right? I didn't have a mom, or I didn't have a living mother, I should say. Therefore, I really wanted someone that was going to be in my corner, but that was not going to be afraid to tell me what to do, not just being my yes man. I don't need a yes man in the room, right, for that purpose. So that's really important. So we talked about a class, we talked about a doula. Number three is going to be, there's an Instagram page called a badass a badass birther, a badass mama birther. I believe that's what it's called. And I'll drop the link in the description. A badass birthing mama. Anyway, what I loved about this Instagram page, and I'm sure there's others that are similar, is every day it would post a woman delivering a baby. It would post a woman literally anywhere, whether that was home, birthing center, hospital, pushing that baby out. You could see the head, you could see her position, you could see her body in its most vulnerable state. You may see whomever is helping her to catch the baby. And this normalized this process for me. This because when you first find out you're pregnant, you've never had a baby, the idea of that part of your body just opening on up, it's just like, is this even real? Right? Like, can I even do this? Mm. Let me take a sip on that. Mm. Can I even do this? Right? Like, that was the question. And the answer is many women have done it time and time again. But I go back to, we have been brainwashed. We've watched videos, we've seen movies, television shows, and even when you talk to your friends around you or your family and people in your biome, no one is as transparent as they can be about the birthing process. So, following a page like this, a badass birthing mama, that or badass birthing mother, being able to see a woman in her most natural state doing this and seeing it on a regular basis, it's like a crash course to prepare you so that when you get in that vulnerable space, when you have several people in that room around you, when you are ready to do this, you know what to do, and it doesn't feel strange. It feels normalized. All I remember, there's certain areas that the body goes into this euphoria when you get ready to start pushing. I remember it took me 12 minutes. It took me 3 pushes. And the first one I pushed, I don't remember the pain of the pushing process at all. By the second push, I could feel my baby's head. They told me to feel my baby's head. I feel his head. I felt his head. By the third push, I had him out. I was holding his head. I looked at him and I said, "Where am I?" Because he looks nothing like me. He looked exactly like his father. And I was very frustrated because where am I in this beautiful human being? Where is my face? But be that as it may, I am extremely blessed that I was able to deliver naturally and have this experience. I can't say if I would if I would be as strong willed about birthing my next child naturally. But what I can tell you is that I have no regrets in the entire experience, and these were the things that helped me. A class to understand my body and the physical capabilities of my body and what is optimal for me to do each stage of the way. What raspberry tea, when do I drink the raspberry leaf tea? What can I tell my partner to give my partner the knowledge to be the best person next to me during that process, or whomever my birthing partner is going to be, even if it's not your husband? That could be your mom. Second, a doula to be my representative, to reassure me throughout the pregnancy process when I'm curious about certain things, to be there and to tell me the optimal positions to do as I am as I'm in that hospital room or as I'm at home still going through the beginner stages of labor. At one time, my doula, I got on the back of the toilet. I hovered over the back of the toilet. She played music, and I had my feet lifted up on basically a stool to help things keep progressing and progressing and progressing. I did have a scenario where my doula was wrapped up in another birth come day of, so she sent another doula to help me, and that doula was fine. I'm very grateful to have her in replacement. Her methodology wasn't the same as my doula, where it's like, we're having a baby, like, this is what you need to do. Because I kept going, what should I do? Or what's optimal? And this doula had more of a training where it was like, her philosophy was more, what does your body feel? Do whatever works for you. For me, my body feels like I want to go to bed, right? My body is exhausted. I want to lay down and go to hell to bed, right? So in that scenario, I liked the method of my doula that I signed up with, that I had throughout most of the process, which was, we having a baby. This is what you need to do, right? It's not about what feels good. It's about what makes sense. To an extent, I'm not trying to be in some excruciating pain that results in a problem. But if there's certain positions that I should be in, it's going to help push this thing on out. I'd rather deal with that little bit of discomfort, which is going to be a part of a natural state of discomfort anyway, right? So, heads up, just sharing a little bit of my personal experience. It did have so happen that another mother went into birth, went into labor at the same time, but my doula still came afterwards and consoled me and was there and was helpful. And honestly, I ended up still keeping in contact with her about different things. You know, when my baby would get sick, I've called her and gotten suggestions about natural remedies. So you cannot go wrong with a doula class, doula, and find an Instagram page like my badass birthing mamas to help you normalize the idea of pushing out a baby. Watch it and see it on a regular basis so you feel more comfortable about the process. And that's it for me. Please comment, like, subscribe. I know I had 2 other episodes. I'm gonna put out more episodes to talk about this process. It was a great process, this mommyhood process. As you can see, my son is now joining in. On My son is now joining in with his comments. He is a beautiful 18 months. But thank you all for watching the Breeze Perspective.